You are listening to the Dental C-Suite, the strategic alliance for independent dentists, covering the three pillars of practice success, people, profit, and patience from the Dental C-Suite. Here are your hosts.
All right. So, Charlie, Kyle, you guys just got back from PDC. I want to hear all about it. I've been excited. I was trying to follow on social media as best as I could, but I want to hear it straight from the source. So, um, yeah, I guess just overall, anything that really, like, if you could think about one thing from the weekend, anything that really stood out, it could be, when we get deeper into like the products and tech and, that kind of conversations, but like anything in particular that you just were like, yeah, that was awesome.
Um, for my excuse me, for myself, I don't know if anything stood out as being awesome, like visually, but it's certainly awesome to me going and connecting and meeting new people and realizing how small the dental world is. Um, I'm sure we'll dive in.
Example.
I'm sure we'll dive into it a little bit more. But Charlie went to introduce me to one of his connections who now works for PPS. And as we're shaking hands, I said, "Yeah, I know Bobby. I used to play volleyball together. We used to play volleyball together
You're
back in high
kidding.
school and university." And he looked at me and
Come
was like, "Yeah,
on.
we definitely did." So,
That's
yeah,
so he's SaaS guy, hey?
he is. Yeah,
That's so funny.
it's a small world. I mean, Saskatchewan is an even smaller world.
Yeah, yeah,
But for me, that was kind of, I guess, kind of the standout moment of the weekend.
cool. I love it.
Yeah, and I kind of echoing that, like it is such a small world out there. It's funny, like just how many all my connections that I built through, you know, working as a manager for practices, like they're still my connections to this day. And so is yeah, it's a very small world. Its standout moment for me, I think, was actually just meeting a lot of people that I've only talked with on the phone or done an email with, actually meeting them in person. Penelope, actually with CDSPI, I've known her for all 10 years that I've been in the industry. And I've probably talked to that woman 1,000 times on the phone about everything under the sun. And so yeah, just to actually meet her in person, she gave me a big hug right away because she knew exactly who I was, and so that was a cool moment, I think, for myself.
Awesome. I love it. Just putting a face to the name. It's yeah,
Yeah,
super
100%.
cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome. Cool.
and I mean, even quote unquote closer to home, it was the first time Charlie and I had actually met in real life.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, there you
exactly.
So
go.
We've sat on video chats all this time here, but not
yeah,
actually kind of met in
Yeah.
person. So yeah, that was also good. You're a lot taller than I expected, so I'm not gonna lie.
I get that a lot. Oh wow, you're taller in real life than you are on the screen.
Yeah, I'm
Imagine
six
that, hey?
foot and I'm not usually
Feeling short next
shadowed.
to guys.
So you're on the taller side too then, Charlie, but
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys are able to go. I'm sad I missed out, but next year I'm planning for next year. Um yeah, I talked to a lot of just, previous coworkers and people I know from the hygiene community and dental community in Saskatchewan here and lots of people went that I know and they liked it. And just really quick before we get into other details, I just thought this was neat. I talked to a handful of people um, uh, who went on their employer's dime, which was really awesome. So continuing education, but also just good team, um, you know,
Team building.
kind of building. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. So
100%.
that from an HR standpoint made me very happy to hear. Yes, yes, exactly. But yeah, so I guess from like when I go, I always like to see all the latest tech too and equipment and that kind of thing. Was there anything that was really like I guess any tech trends that really stood out right now or anything that you saw along the lines of trends or even just innovation in general that you're like, "Oh, this might change the way that dental clinics function."
You want to take this one first, Kyle, or
Sure.
yeah?
I guess the one thing that really stood out to me, kind of in total contradiction to our predictions for PDC episode, uh, I only saw AI really mentioned in regards to imaging and a little bit in regards to analytics and insights of PMS software. There was very little publicly displayed about AI for your marketing, AI for, kind of anything really. But when you sat down and started talking to people, it was almost like AI is just, yeah, obviously we're using AI for this. It wasn't kind of that flashy selling feature being promoted.
Okay. I'm
Well, a
surprised
couple,
by that, I guess, but
so
yeah.
was I. The one thing from a marketing perspective that did stand out to me are the number of different businesses, both marketing focused, but also kind of practice management focused, that we're talking a lot more about systems
Yeah.
and what does your new patient system look like, and what does your front desk system look like for recalls or new patient exams, those sorts of things, and really focusing on the systemization to capture the data, the information, and the leads to turn them into new patients.
Okay, cool. I like that. I don't know what you think about that, but I like the use of, you know, I guess AI in that kind of respect.
Yeah, it's I mean, systemization of business, like that's kind of, I'm not gonna say business 101, but if you're really trying to grow a practice and grow and scale to multiple clinics, like getting those systems established is extremely important, because that's what then lets you as a clinician not have to focus so much on the business side of things. You can be more of a clinician, um, but it's what makes sure that everything is repeatable. And I think it's probably a fantastic topic for us to dive into, because I know there's a ton of HR related things around systems. I know there's a ton of financial things around systems, and there's also a ton of systems related to marketing. So
For sure, yeah.
I'll leave it at that, and we can do a deeper dive in a future episode.
No, very good, Kyle. I think for myself, on the software side of things, I tend to agree there wasn't as much software there as I expected, especially on the AI front of things. Like I didn't see any AI receptionists there, which I was expecting to see at least two or three, because that's kind of been the hot topic in 2025 and early
Yeah.
2026. But a few of the ones that I saw is called Care Crew. They do kind of mate with your practice management system and kind of pull some key information, which I thought was really, really cool. Obviously, I wasn't able to do a deep dive with them, but I actually do have a demo with them in a couple weeks' time to just learn more about that, because I thought it was quite cool. And then the other cool AI company has really absolutely nothing to do for on the dentist side. It's more on the accounting side for me. And I'm actually really intrigued with it, but it kind of goes out and helps with the AR side of things and posting payments and stuff like that. So again, I have a demo with them because it sounds really, really cool.
What was
I
the
do
name of
know
that
of
one, Charlie? Sorry.
that one is called.
Put me on the spot here. Sorry, but I'm
Yeah, no, you're all
Logic
good.
Dental.
Logic Dental. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm really intrigued by them. Gonna take a deep dive with them on a demo and see what their softwares were capable of doing. But it's one of those things that, like, all these things always sound really cool. It's always about accuracy with AI, right? And if it's not like 99% accurate, it kind of defeats the purpose, because then you're checking everything. So
Totally.
so yeah, so I'm interested to do a deep dive on those and maybe guess later on.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, there you go.
So
Cool.
yeah.
Nice. I guess like now that I've heard from both of you on those on that end of it, was there anything that stood out that you were like um kind of made you think like maybe not, like no, dentistry isn't ready for this, or I wouldn't, be too excited about implementing these in the clinics that I work with just yet. Not to put any companies on the spot, just like if there was something that I guess like an idea that you're like, okay, this might be cool, but maybe not in 2026.
I think for myself in general, the receptionist AI is, and it, like, not to like blast any companies, I'm not going to name any companies or anything like that. I have interacted with a few of them, and they're cool, but I don't think they're there yet. The one I actually interact with said I wasn't speaking English, and so we'll try and get somebody to speak your language when they call you back, which I thought, like, okay,
Very good.
interesting.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely think it has like its use case for like that after hours kind of side of things, but as kind of like an extra to your admin team, it's I don't think it's there yet. I give it time though. I think it's 100% coming. It's going to be great. It's going to be very useful. But I think it's one of those things that's still tricky, and I think it's still very divisive with people, that either they're, oh, this is cool, I get to chat with AI, or the other side of,
Hate it.
no, don't give me a
Yeah.
robot, give me an admin right now,
Yeah,
or I'm hanging up.
exactly. There's room for improvement then with that. Field will
Yeah,
say, hey,
yeah,
keep some bodies in the uh reception chairs maybe before we all transition to the robot
exactly.
receptionist. How about you,
Yeah,
Kyle?
from
Anything?
from my perspective, I wouldn't say I saw anything that I was just like, ooh, that's out there. Um, it was, yeah, comparing this year to last year, I would say that I didn't feel like there was really a huge difference. If anything, there was maybe fewer marketing related companies there.
Oh, okay.
Um, and maybe a few more supplier type companies. Um, the main booths this year, the big ones for 123 Dental, Dental Corp, uh, Oral B, those big ones, they actually seem bigger than they were last year. So I'm not sure if maybe some of them bought up more booth space, kind of pushing out some of the smaller, going to use the word fringe, but that's got connotations that I don't intend. But those kind of more
The smaller
cutting edge,
guys.
yeah, cutting edge or smaller teams, smaller businesses just couldn't get boot space this year as a result.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to actually look at the metrics for the event. How many vendors they had this year versus last year, how many attendees and whatnot. So
Yeah. I think we could actually find that on PDC's website, hey?
I think so. It's
Imagine so, yeah.
Interesting to look into that. I would be
Probably an
interested.
archive of some sorts. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's an interesting thought for sure. Yeah. Um, yeah, I guess this is kind of directed at you, Kyle. Was there any like marketing trends or actually I guess this is a question for both of you, but I was just thinking from a marketing perspective, like was there anything that felt really new? Like I know you said there weren't as many marketing companies, but was there anything like I guess what I'm trying to ask was there like a new angle that any of these companies had?
again, like I mentioned earlier, AI was not as prominent as I thought it might have been from a marketing perspective. But I did stop and chat with a couple of the marketing companies that were there. And over the course of our conversation, we ended up talking about AI and marketing. Primarily, what everybody was angling for and kind of pitching is the notion of getting your clinic to show up in AI searches, and how that is kind of impacting or changing the SEO, the more traditional SEO landscape. But as we, as I've said in the past, and as I had the conversations with some of these other vendors, what really struck me as kind of the nugget that I drew from it all was how, as much as AI is kind of this frontier of marketing and everything to show up in AI results. You just need to be doing SEO really well.
Oh,
There really isn't any new secret sauce or tricks to getting displayed in AI search results. It's making sure that you've got all your foundational SEO elements operational, and that they're really tight.
gotcha.
How are you being cited on other sources? Do the sources that are citing you have good domain authority? Is your NAP, your name, address, phone number on all of the directory listings identical across all of them? Does your website have schema markup so that the search bots can actually read and understand the context of your website, or your web page rather? Um, are you answering questions? Like, do you have content on your pages like FAQs that answer frequently asked questions
Yeah,
that someone's going to ask, that they will probably show up in a AI search? And so for me, what really was um, can't think of the word, but what reinforced what I've been promoting and pitching is the value and the need to invest in these things in order to remain relevant into the future.
for sure. So, I mean, I guess for our listeners, any clinic owner out there, that's where hiring the dental marketing company and talking to you, Kyle, will be super beneficial for them.
Exactly.
They want to be doing it right.
Yep.
I guess, and
Absolutely.
I might just turn the same question to you, Charlie, but um, maybe kind of change it a little bit. Were you happy with maybe the accounting, the finance, the investment lens that was present at PDC? Were there, or would you like to see more companies there to promote the importance of of finances, knowing your
Yeah.
finances as an owner as a whole?
I think there wasn't as many accountants as I thought there was going to be there. Like I guess like in my space per se, and the bookkeeping and kind of month to month side of things, there's definitely kind of like tax accountants there. Um, but I was quite happy to see there's quite a few like wealth people there, because I think that's a really big thing. That was I think in general, there was lots of conversations that I had around like knowing your exit, whether that's 3 years from now or 15 years from now, like it doesn't really matter, but just knowing what your exit is I think really important. And there was lots of conversations on that, and a lot of conversations that I had with the wealth companies. We're all singing the same song. Just plan with the end in mind. What is your end game? Do you want to be 50 when you retire? Do you want to be 40? Do you want to be, you know, 44 and work optional? What does that look like?
Yeah.
And then figuring out what you need to achieve that, and just, working backwards from there. So that was good to hear that the wealth people were kind of on that same side. And I felt that a lot of them were taking a very holistic approach to it. As a shout out, I don't think any of them actually had a fee to do this. So, like, just go get it done.
Oh, yeah.
They're
Utilize that.
signing it. They're kind of trying to bring you in with the hopes that you'll sign with them, and they make money off the investment side of stuff. So, like, it's one of those things that you don't have to pay $250 an hour to go have these conversations. Like, you can really just go have the conversation and get an idea as to what that looks like, so you can start planning. Because I think that also makes things a lot easier for your decision making in the here and now, when you know what you're trying to achieve. So that was kind of I think a big thing. But yeah, no, I think generally it was good from the finance section. There was lots of good companies there. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Can I ask you a question? This is
Yeah,
kind of
of course.
sidetracking from PDC, but I'm just curious. From your with your work and your experience working with dental clinics, do you find that a lot of owners are more focused on um okay, tax season's coming up, that's all I need to care about. They have less of an interest of what you can assist them with, and they don't really understand how valuable your services are to keep them on track. And do you know what I mean? Like, because I know a lot of clinic owners that do think like that they're not, well, planning an exit like you had talked about. But then just from like the monthly or even quarterly like bookkeeping standpoint, that's just completely off their radar. So then it comes to the end of the year and they're like scrambling or they don't know where they sit financially. And yeah, so just curious what you
Yeah,
find.
it's definitely a huge issue. I mean, there's been some other companies in this space that I think have done well in kind of pushing that conversation to the forefront. And that, kind of have been here longer in the space than I have. And so, but the big thing is that yes, I mean that they don't look at it month to month or quarter to quarter. I mean, that's honestly that's business in general. I mean, I've done bookkeeping for other people, and most of them they just do what I coin as bank balance accounting.
Yeah.
Is there money in the account? Sure, I can afford this expense. They
I
don't
mean, I'm
actually know
guilty of doing
cash
that
flow.
for my own business
I'm guilty
sometimes.
of it
So
sometimes
We
too.
all
Like
are.
I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, it happens. I
Yeah.
totally get it. But and unfortunately, it is one of those things that still happens. With dentists and professional services, and a lot of times too, I see dentists leaving a lot of money on the table because they just didn't have the conversation to plan, or the business has done well and they're sitting on lots of cash and it's sitting in a high interest savings account at 0.5%, and it's just like that's almost like the worst thing you could do with your money because it's really not doing anything for you.
Yeah,
At least
for
put it in
sure.
a
You're
GIC for
losing
30
purchasing
days
Yeah, I
or
was just
power
to say, yeah,
power
you
with
are
you're
exactly,
right.
inflation.
so it's I've told a lot of the wealth people that the perfect world that I would actually like to live in is that the dentist has their retirement plan from the wealth people, and I get handed the plan, and it's like, okay, this year we need to clear $300,000 in free cash flow. I just put that into the monthly plan, that we need to do, that divided by 12, and I can have conversations with everybody saying like, hey, we're on schedule, or hey, we're ahead of schedule. There's an extra $100,000 this year. Figure out what you're going to do with that. Or hey, we're short. We need to revisit the plan. Just having those conversations in that team, it actually doesn't increase your costs. A lot of times this is all kind of baked into what we do anyways. It's just a part of the service. And so, doing that, it makes the whole kind of path to what is obviously you're trying to achieve financial freedom and retirement down the road a lot easier and a lot more of a path you just have to walk rather than I'll figure it out later at some point. And so
For
yeah,
sure.
no, it's definitely something I see. So
Well, I guess, I'll put another plug in there for you, Charlie. Charlie with Title Counting for those who are listening, if you want that, nice kind of easier path to walk on as an owner, he's your guy. And it sounds like, Charlie, you've got some connections as far as, wealth and investments, the side of things too that I'm sure you could recommend for listeners too. So
absolutely. Yeah,
um yeah, cool.
If I can jump in too,
absolutely.
the idea of well, the idea of this whole podcast is really coming down to your C-suite and who are the professionals, the experts in the various areas of managing your practice and managing your lifestyle. And so bringing in a team to support you is not a weakness. Like that's a strength, and that's
No,
what's going to help you as a business owner. And I think what we really need to remind ourselves and our audience, like you are business owners, and so you need to operate a business. And
think like an owner. Yeah.
you need to
Absolutely.
think like an owner, think like a CEO of your business. We talked about the bank account accounting in my other agency. That's how we ran it fundamentally. And I sat down with a bookkeeper and business mentor and realized that when I was doing design work, just by simply restructuring my P&L statement, for every dollar I earned doing branding or design work, it cost me $1.98 to produce that dollar. So, understanding where your cash is coming in, where it's going out, like those are the things that are going to help you on a monthly basis adjust and pivot and generate that $300,000 of free cash flow that Charlie's talking about, that you can then turn around and hand off to a wealth manager or work with somebody else to help you achieve that dream and that exit goal that you have for yourself.
Totally.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, yeah. I kind of want to ask you guys if we could just shift a little bit. I know at the beginning we talked about networking a little bit, but I want to dive into that because on our episode leading up to PDC weekend, that was a big thing that we highlighted. It's not just the booths are fantastic and meeting people through there obviously is one way of networking, but just like sometimes the random conversations you had. And I think Charlie, you had scheduled some coffee meetings or had planned on doing that with certain people. Um and Kyle, I know you said, you were introduced to Bobby, but you'd already met him, and so that's kind of a fun thing, right? It's super super neat. Um, Again, just yeah, highlights how small the dental world in Canada is for sure. But um, any, I guess, really memorable conversations or anything that really stuck with you that you're like you've been thinking about it or you're excited to talk to that person or talk about that maybe um, field of dental soon or anything like that?
Go ahead, Charlie. I'll let you
Okay.
start this one off.
Yeah, I mean, there's always so many great conversations that you have, and some of them you don't even know what they are until you're in the conversation. And you're like, oh, this is actually not at all what I expected, but this is great. Like I had conversations with, um, some of the suppliers and stuff like that because I've actually been doing some startup clinics lately, and funny enough, one of my clients that's starting up a clinic was there, so it was interesting to actually just go around and shop with with my client for a couple hours there and just look at a few products that I've seen put into other offices, and I just like hey, this is something I think you should look at,
And
and
you're
then
the
just
perfect
making the
person to be going
connections.
around with them because
Yeah, I mean, I was like,
both
I did
the
this. I
numbers
built
locked in and you
offices. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, this is a smart investment.
yeah.
This quiet compressor is a lifesaver for your staff.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, yeah. But also
And
you
so
can keep them reined in too.
keep them reined in, and just giving them options. A lot of times dentists get honed in on I like this chair combination. It's like what, let's just go look at some options.
Yeah,
There's another whole world out there. So I found that interesting. And but yeah, no, the conversations, I have a lot of great conversations, and I think the thing that I drew from it is that there's so many specialty services within dental. Like there is a service for your problem, like quite literally. So if you've got an AR problem, there's a service for that. If there's a HR problem, there's a service for that. If you know exit planning, wealth planning, repair and maintenance. I mean, everything. There was somebody for that that can kind of help with that very specific niche problem. And I think, from my standpoint, I really liked having those conversations because I like to be a connector of those people. Obviously being on the bookkeeping side of your business, I'm quite ingrained in your company and, ingrained in conversations with you. So I get to hear a lot of what's going on and see what's going on, and just being able to have those connections, say like, hey, we've gone through a lot of handpiece repairs lately. So let's try maybe a different guy because maybe these aren't actually being repaired properly. Just little things like that to know what's out there. And yeah.
cool. How about you, Kyle? Anything that really stood out or any conversations with anyone that yeah, piqued your
I mean,
interest?
the one conversation that was a bit of a standout for me, but not for a positive reason, um, was was sitting down with some lawyers. And it's been a long day. They had these lovely chairs in their booth. There was one empty, so I was like, "Hey, mind if I sit down with you guys?" They're like, "For sure, why not?" So started chatting with them and asking them like, how do they support dentists? And um, I kind of put it out there that we run this podcast, and would they be interested in being part of the podcast so that they can talk directly to more lawyers? And the response I got was, no, we can't do that. And I was like, oh, is it there like a privacy reason behind it or something? No, no, we just don't. We operate on a billable hour, and who are we going to bill if we spend an hour chatting with you? And I was kind of like, oh, well, no one, but there might be some new clients come your way.
Ah,
Well,
potentially billing a lot.
exactly, but they were just like, yeah, no, we can't afford to take that kind of time out of our day to do that. So I was kind of like, oh,
Interesting.
that's a
Okay.
very
Meanwhile, there was another group there that had, and this is kind of a shout out, an incredible booth idea. It was dressed to the nines as a racing team booth, to the point that I actually walked up to it and was asking, like, why is there a racing company here at a dental conference? They're like, oh, we're actually lawyers. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, it didn't say lawyer or LLP anywhere.
Oh,
And they had like
interesting.
they had a racing simulator in there. They had a little like track cars thing in there. Everybody was dressed in like very much like racing attire.
but they were
And
they were in pit lane.
yeah, exactly. And it was just, but it was a very
That's so
inviting booth.
cool.
It was just like, this seems to be the cool place to be here right
So
now.
they must have
And
been attracting a lot of people then, hey?
oh,
There was
absolutely.
always people at their booth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they
Cool.
had a lineup all the time
they,
for their
I couldn't go
simulator
and
and
sit
stuff.
down in their chairs.
Yeah.
So their
So just
marketing was on
two
point, you
different
could
ways to
say
do it.
then, I guess. Hey? Yeah, totally two different. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can almost picture it.
Yeah, it was very good. And it was if anything, like if I'm to put a booth there, I'm like, this is what I'm doing. It's just, because obviously lawyering and accounting isn't obviously the most fun of conversations. So
Sure
why
it
not make
is.
it fun and engaging? It's fun to us, but not everybody else.
That's usually
Yeah,
how I start off my presentations about certain HR topics. Is I know HR is really boring or it gets a bad rap, but I try to make it fun. So I think you do the same thing, Charlie. I think you try to make accounting fun.
I definitely try to. So try to get my enthusiasm out there. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, it sounds like you guys made a lot of connections, had some conversations with people you already know and or got to see it, face to face for the first time and some cool systems, processes out there, some cool tools. Um, yeah, I guess. Oh, I will ask one more thing because I have
Yes.
to. From an HR standpoint, I know we talked about some, systems and processes that, some platforms that could be helpful for that. Was there anything, and it doesn't have to be a tool, was there anything from like a people management aspect that you thought, oh, maybe Jess would find this interesting? And that's okay if you didn't. If HR wasn't on your mind at all, I will forgive you.
No, it was. And you know what? Actually, now that you bring it up and I think about it, I actually don't think I saw a single HR specific company there.
Hmm,
I, over the
interesting.
weekend, I do recall one HR company, but
Okay.
but I can't recall if that was a booth
Okay.
or a conversation that I had
Yeah.
where they were
Like,
talking about working with an HR specific company. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah,
So like there was definitely like consultant groups there that, dabble in the HR side of things, but not,
for
yeah,
sure.
not like an HR company.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, so actually, now you mentioned that, yeah, interesting actually.
Yeah. Good to know.
Yeah, there was. I mean, I will give a shout out to the practice management software of Dentally, which is from Henry Schein. Um, I had a little demo with it. Definitely not a deep dive, but a very slick system. It's a newer system. I think they said that they introduced it in Canada in 2024. It's from Europe. Like it has been around for a while, but it's been made for our systems. And I was impressed. I was with the lady for about 10-15 minutes. A lot of very cool features that are kind of baked in that you don't need to build add-ons, which is a huge thing in the dental world. Is subscriptions by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
And so they have outreach and text and email built in. They have intercompany messaging built in. They have systems where if you have a gap in your schedule, you can blast out to certain crowds of people. And you had a very, very nice user interface. I thought it was very, very easy to navigate. Like I was able to look at it and just know exactly kind of where I need to go. So definitely something worth exploring, I think. Cloud-based as well, so nice and easy on the IT side of things.
Nice.
But yeah, that was a interesting thing. the other shout out I want to give, because I know of this personally, this problem. So Mansouri Design Company, they do kind of build outs of clinics. However, when they're doing the cabinetry, they build the actual like box cabinetry with, I'm going to say this right here, like compressed rice husks. So not wood, which if anybody's built a stereo center, about 5 years later, all that steam gets in there and warps the wood.
Warped and yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just destroyed. And so they use rice husks that is either water resistant or waterproof. I can't remember that detail, but they've
that's so
done it
cool.
specifically because they didn't want any of the water getting in there and the steam to kind of warp it. I was like, that is a phenomenal idea.
That is so cool. Yeah,
So
especially for a lot of your startup clinics, that's a neat
yeah,
thing
so it's
to do.
definitely a name, a card that I've kept, because I'm like, this is intriguing, this is game changing, this is
For
the
sure.
innovation that's cool.
Yeah. Are they a Canadian company? Do you know?
Canadian company, they're in BC. They're in the BC
Nice.
area. They do deliver, I think, Canada wide or Western Canada.
Okay.
So a lot of times they build the cabinets, they'll send them out, they'll send a install team with the units
Cool.
and install them. So yeah, so it's not just a BC company. I made sure of that because I was like, come to Alberta.
Yeah.
And but yeah, a very, very cool, and they seem to have some very, very slick design. So
I'm on their website right now. After you
yeah,
brought that up, and man, some of it like
It was
it looks
beautiful
it
stuff.
looks
like their designs
yeah.
look very cool.
Yeah, so
Like
I
I
was
would
quite
walk into a
impressed.
clinic and say, "This is nice."
Yeah, I was quite impressed with even just talking with the team. They had really good ideas, and you could tell that they've built dental offices before. And
Cool.
yeah, I mean the fact that they took that initiative to find an alternative to wood to stop the swell is awesome.
Yeah, that's super. I love it. Super
Yeah,
neat. Really innovative.
yeah,
Cool. Well, I mean, sounds like it was a good weekend, busy weekend, but
it was.
until next year, I guess. Hey, and like I said, I'm planning on joining you guys next year, so
Yeah,
you'll have
it's
to ask
already
me the questions next time.
absolutely. It's already marked in my calendar. So
Awesome. Cool. Very good. Very good. Well, I think that's all we have on that today then. Hey?
thank you
Sounds
very
good.
much.
Thanks for listening. You've been listening to the Dental C-Suite. For show notes or to ask a question to the board, visit www.thedentalcsuite.com.